First thing you want to do if you're in your 20s or 30s or any age to not waste time is to train your focus. Last night I was sleeping or trying to sleep, and I was just laying there and I couldn't help but notice a barrage of thoughts just coming into my mind. This happens every so often, but I'll sleep and essentially try to meditate by just observing the thoughts. And usually if I could just focus on my breath, I'll fall asleep. Some time goes by, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and I'm catching myself just thinking about random thoughts. And I notice this happens mostly when I'm spending a lot of time on my phone. Now, I've been spending a lot of time lately on my phone, mostly for work calls, sales calls, things like that. But on the earlier part of my days or in the later part of my days, if I'm spending a lot of time on my phone, that usually creates this barrage of thoughts, something that I personally notice. But I couldn't help but just lay there and observe these thoughts as they overtook my mind, and I was just sitting there trying to get myself in a comfortable enough position mentally and physically to fall asleep, and it just wouldn't happen. So the reason I say train your focus is because so many of us can't sit down and focus on one single hard task for more than a minute. Some of us just don't even want to do it. Like, I have so many family members that I've just noticed are just lazy. They'd rather just sit down and be on their phone all the time. So one thing that I can recommend is, for training focus, you want to sit down and have a clear objective when you're working or when you're going to the gym, and try to notice the internal triggers, the things that pop up in your head that pull you away, that tell you that the task that you're working on or whatever you're working on is boring. That is the internal battle that people who are really good at focus just crush. They dominate it every day. All of us have internal triggers that pull us away from what it is we want to do, but you are risking your potential by giving into distractions. I heard somebody say this, but the price of giving into distractions is your potential. That's the first thing that I would tell my 20-year-old self now as a 30-year-old. The second thing is to be consistently good rather than occasionally perfect. So many of us overlook the power of consistency and a baseline level of input, and we prep and we tell ourselves that the effort is not good enough if it's not perfect. I guarantee you it's a lot better to get, for example, 8,000 steps a day consistently than it is to get 2,000, 3,000 steps one day and then like 15,000 steps another day, if you want to just have like a baseline of health. Same thing with business, same thing with anything, same thing with relationships. It's better to have a few good conversations with a person a day as opposed to not see them, especially if they're your spouse or somebody close, not to talk to them in a couple of weeks and then just like go out on, have one good day. My logic here is the power of consistency is so powerful, and your effort compounds, and just the power of daily inputs, I think, is unmatched. It's the best way to get better is to do something consistently and often. I heard a stat that if you do something for 18 minutes a day, you'll be more proficient at it than 99% of the world. That's crazy. Whether it's like a sport, learning a language, working on a skill, just 18 minutes a day. I think if you bump that up to an hour a day, whatever it is that you're trying to get better at, and I'm speaking to my 20-year-old self here, you are severely underestimating the power of how good you can get at something. Just having a baseline level of being consistently good rather than occasionally perfect. The third thing is that 1 hour of action beats 10 hours of planning, theorizing, and thinking about something. So something that I'm always reminding myself now at 30 years old is that action creates information and not the other way around. So many of us are, it's really a fear thing when we are looking into over planning, over researching. It's our brain's mechanism for protecting us from the potential consequences of the actions we want to take. But nothing beats just 1 hour of violent action as opposed to like 10, 20, 30 hours of thinking about the dream life that you want to have. Tony Robbins has a quote that says, if you're in your head, you're dead. You want to get out of your head and into your life as much as possible. So whatever it is, I would say spend a little bit amount of time of planning in proportion to the amount of time that you spend doing something. You want to do maybe like 10% planning. So if you're spending 3 hours on something, maybe 10% of that is planning, and the rest of the time is just violent action. The fourth thing is, and again, I'm speaking to my 20-year-old self, and I was playing college football at the time, but is to chase an ideal version of yourself as opposed to chasing women. So when I was younger, I was an athlete, so I treated a lot of things in my life competitively, and that includes women. But one thing I'm learning as I'm getting older, or I've learned rather, is that women don't gravitate towards the men who are chasing them, especially the young men. Your time is better spent identifying problems in your life and having goals and achieving those goals, and not necessarily treating women as an afterthought. You still want to work on your social skills. You still want to understand dynamics with the opposite sex, what it is that they want out of life. And dude, I would just say spend as much time as possible trying to make yourself better. That's, there's something that all of us can do to become better, especially as men. If it's leveling up financially, in business, and in our health, in our social skills, in our people skills, I would say it's much better time spent in that than trying to spin plates. Now, of course, have your fun, have your relationship, but I wouldn't make it the center of your universe is trying to chase women, which is a mistake that so many young guys between like 18 and 25 make. Is just half of their time and attention is split just on the dating apps, on Instagram, DMing chicks and things like that. I think it's just not a waste of time, because you could pick up some skills from it, but you're, like I said, and I'll say it one more time, is that your time is way better spent stacking skills. The fifth thing that I would tell my 20-year-old self is to create at least double as much as you consume. So if you look around you today, the default action, the normal thing to do is just sit on your phone. And what I find so funny about that is, like, if you pick up a phone and start talking into it, like make a selfie video, or even me talking into this camera right now, me speaking to you, it's thought of as cringe, right? Like this behavior of me speaking into a camera, a lot of people who spend a majority of their time consuming content just like this would see me in public and think of this as cringe. So my logic to myself is that I don't want to be like the majority of people. So I'd rather be the person that's writing, speaking, recording, being an athlete, working on myself, setting an example, the top 10%, 5%, 1%, as opposed to the person that spends a majority of their time consuming. Like, if you look anywhere, it's just the default behavior. People aren't even bored anymore. They're just sitting online, scrolling on their phones. And this is thought of as cringe, dude. Like me speaking into this camera right now, if I was to do this in a public setting, it's thought of as cringe, but it's not cringe. Your screen time is what you should think of as cringe. Like the average screen time is like 4 to 5 hours. What's the average creation time? If you doubled that, the average creation time, if you take this rule and apply it, it means that the average creation time should be at least 8 hours. Think about that. People are consuming 10, 20, 30 times more. Sometimes they're all consumption and no creation. Your job in this world is to create and produce. So remember that. So those are 5 things, right? Train your focus, be consistently good rather than occasionally perfect. 1 hour of action beats 10 hours of theorizing. 4, chase an ideal, don't chase women. If you're a woman, don't chase men. Become the best version of yourself. Identify problems and solve them. And number 5 is create at least 2 times more than you consume for your own good. I'll leave you with a bonus one that helps me all the time, is actionize everything. So it's literally a verb. I don't know if I made it or not. I just think about it all the time, is actionize things. When things come into your world, ideas pop into your head, take them down and figure out how you can actionize them. Don't waffle on them. Either do them or delete them. Get them out of your head. But actionizing things keeps you in flow, right? You want to be moving, making progress, constantly in rhythm. So those are the things that if you apply at whatever age, I think they'll help you. They're lessons that I would give to my 20-year-old self. So take one, take all of them, and make your life better.